Welcome everybody to Yiftee's first version 1.0 best practices webinar. And we're super excited to have you guys here. We would love to get your feedback on the best practices that we've been sending you. And our plan is to just kind of walk you through those, but also just give you a little background. So where they came from is we have now grown to 420 different communities all over the country, which is super exciting. But we see a lot of those communities doing really cool things, but we also see everybody out there wears so many different hats and you're so busy. We want to try to make it as easy as possible to share the ideas across all the different communities. So we also, since Yiftee has grown, we've been able to add a few people to the team. In fact, I think all of you know Raquel Lopez and Raquel Borges, who've the famous, amazing Raquels who do sales and marketing here at Yiftee and also support and pretty much everything else under the sun. But we've also recently added Pat Sign, who's joining us today. So you may see his smiling face on your screen. Pat is an account manager and is working with about 50 accounts. So some of you may know Pat. He has a colleague in crime named Don, who is not with us today because he's in Hawaii. But I'm sure many of you have had a chance to meet him. If you haven't heard from Pat or Don or Raquel as account managers, shoot us, and you want an account manager, shoot us an email and we will set you guys up with someone that can kind of be a point person here at Yiftee for you. Again, overall, our goal is to help save you time and help you sell more cards. And that's why we started the best practices. And that's why we now have account managers on board here. We have a whole bunch of resources for you. We want you to have the message that you shouldn't have to invent any wheels or reinvent any wheels. If you need something, ask us because we probably have it somewhere. So with that, as an introduction, I want to turn it over to Raquel Lopez, affectionately known as R2. She is going to walk you through a part of the website where we have a lot of marketing resources for you and just show you where those are, so you have a chance to use them. So Raquel, you want to take it away?
Sure. Thanks, Donna. Hi, everyone. Good morning or good afternoon, depending on where you are. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you all for being here at our first best practices webinar, hopefully the first of many. So what I wanted to do today is just give you a quick overview of your account and a couple of new features that we have going on so everyone knows where to find things. Let me just share my screen with folks over here. And here we go. Hopefully you can all see that. So all of you should have an account or a portal. If you don't have access to it yet, or if you haven't accessed it yet, please let me know and we can resend you an invitation. Or if you have other team members that you want to add to your account, you can always send us an email or go to manage account over here on the left-hand side and add more team members. You can manage your team and then you should find yourself here and any other team member that you have, but you can go ahead and scroll all the way to the right, resend any invitations that you would need, edit or remove these folks, or at the very top over here, invite a new member. All right, so if you need to do that, or if you need access to your account, first things first, just let me know. If you open up this account, this is also important. If you open up this account and you don't see this, what you see is something like this. That means you are in your personal account. All right. So sometimes this is, people get confused initially. It opens up like this. The system always creates a community card account and a personal account to go with it, just in case you want to use your personal account and send and receive gifts for any reason. So if what you're seeing is this, when you try to connect to your community account, go ahead and go up to the right-hand side, top right-hand side, and toggle over to your community card account. All right, and then you should be able to find this. And this is what your community card portal should look like. Now, this may be a quick overview for all of you, and you may already know where you are, but just in case you were having those issues, just let us know, and here we are. But what I wanted to show you was this top marketing resources tab over here. So from now on, we're going to put all of our marketing and support materials up here. You can just go ahead and click on it, and it's going to take you to our send desk. This is the Yiftee Support Center. And over here, we have all of our launch and setup materials. If you ever need to refer back to launch and setup materials or setup guide, we have press release materials. We have seasonal window clings and flyers, all right? We have all of the materials for the merchants, the merchant kit, which is step-by-step how to activate, how to redeem cards, how to do everything you need to do in order to be part of the program. We've got some resources, reasons why gift cards decline, the top 5 reasons. This is one of the pieces that you can send your merchants in case they're having any trouble redeeming. They can print this out, put it visible for their employees so they can do some troubleshooting in the moment. We also have a merchant overview document if you need to resend it to merchants or if you need to invite merchants initially. This is how to do it. And then we also have the how to redeem document over here that I can show you. This is customizable. This is in Word, so you can go ahead and print this out, put your images on it and put your name on it. And then this is another piece that you can send to merchants so they can print them out and put it visible for employees so every employee knows in the moment how to redeem cards. All right, and it has frequently asked questions as well. Now, if we go back over here to our materials, the last thing I wanted to show you is that our new community card best practices are also going to live here, and they're going to be at the very top over here. Here are the ones that we've sent out with the different weekly emails that you should be getting. If you're not getting those emails, again, let us know so we can make sure that you're getting those best practices emails. And if you ever lose them or if you ever need to refine them, right, here's where you would go. Okay, so once again, you're in your portal, go to your marketing resources tab, and you can find everything that you would need for marketing, including your best practices. All right, and that's what I wanted to show you. Any questions about that? No? All right. Okay, so again, social media posts down here, how to customize materials, some instructions over here, and that should be everything that you need. We always try to update this so we can give you fresh marketing materials, and if you ever find that there's something missing, let us know so we can create new materials and make sure that we're giving you what you need. All right, and with that, I'll give it back to Donna, who's going to go over the best practices.
All right, thanks, Raquel. So again, you can get to that from inside your portal. You can also get to that from the footer of yiftee.com. It says client resources. There's a tab there, so you don't even have to log in. You can just click on that client resources link and it'll take you right where Raquel was just showing you. Next on our agenda is to go through all the best practices. So we started on May 22nd, sending you an email message each Monday or Tuesday early in the week. Let's see, there we go, on best practices. And where do these come from? So basically we learned them from you, from our communities. So somewhere out there among the 420 communities, people are doing these things. And so we want to share with everybody how they're doing them. So we have published 5 best practices so far. If you did not get them, as Raquel said, let us know. You can shoot me or Raquel an email message and we'll make sure you're on the list to get them every Monday. If you want to add someone else from your team to make sure to that list, just send us their email as well, and they'll start getting them. So let's see, the first one that we did was the employee welcome back to the office. So in each case, what we're trying to do is share the best practice and how it works, but also give you some marketing materials that you can share in your community with, in this case, employers. So to welcome their employees back to the office. So for example, we are seeing the organizations that we're seeing do this are city governments are buying them for their employees to say, hey, incentivize them to come back into the office, letting someone else in, and to then also give back to the local shops and restaurants. So, here's a $20 community card. You can use it to buy lunch. You can use it to go out after work. You can use it to buy takeout dinners for your family and take them home, or last minute gifts for loved ones. So all kinds of different uses for your cards, because as you know, there are lots of different merchants out there that are participating in these programs. The organization that's sending the gift can easily send them by email, text, or print. And it doesn't have to be a one-time thing. It could be welcome back to the office, but it also once they start doing that, they can also use your community cards for ongoing employee reward programs. So how does it work? First of all, we would suggest that you take the flyer that we send you, we're sending them to you in PowerPoint, and customize the parts that are in yellow for your organization. If you don't have time to do that, just reach out to us and we'll do it for you. So don't stress. If you don't have time, send it to us. And then email this flyer to local employers. So send it to, it could be big companies. One in Charlotte, North Carolina, they had Truist Bank send out 5 figures worth of gifts to their employees that their employees could spend in downtown Charlotte. But we've also seen small organizations like law firms that have, just a handful of employees buy them for their employees. So it doesn't have to be a big company. I would suggest maybe you look around at your board of directors, because your boards of directors have a vested interest in the community and making sure that the merchants in the community are thriving. So you could give this flyer to send it out to each one of your directors and invite them to use the program to welcome back their employees to the office. There are a lot of benefits that we can offer to employers. We can, what we'll do is, and you also don't have to orchestrate this program. There's a button on your website, on your eGift page, that says more info for bulk purchases or discounts for bulk purchases. Have them click that button. It'll send us a message and we will handle the purchases on their behalf. So we'll do all the legwork for you. What we usually do is we'll set up a business account or an enterprise account for them, which is a free account that allows them to deposit funds to send gifts in advance of sending those gifts. If they send us the funds by check or ACH, we can give them a discount on the fees. So the fee goes from $1.05 to 50 cents and 3%. So they get a discount on those fees by contacting us, and we'll set up an account for them. Usually we require that they are buying $1,000 of gifts or more, because for amounts less than that, the overhead of cutting a check or sending an ACH probably doesn't warrant the savings in the e-delivery fee. But we bend the rules all the time. So if someone wants to make a $500 order, we're happy to work with them and help them and give them those discounted fees. We also can put their branding on the cards. So if they want the bonus gift or the gift customized for them, we can put their branding on it. They also can save money doing this, because when gifts are given as awards, rewards, or promotions, they can set expiration dates, or we can set expirations for them on the gifts, and say they give the employee a year, 6 months, or a year to spend this gift, because you want these funds in circulation in your community sooner rather than later. So we can set an expiration date on those gifts, and the funds that remain on the card at that date will go back to the sender, the employer, less a restocking fee by us. But generally, they save more money that way. So there's basically no waste with this program. So if you have employers that come to you asking for creative ways to bring their employees back to the office. For instance, we had one that wanted to offer a matching program. So if an employee bought a $25 card, the employer would match the 25. Contact us, and we 9 times out of 10 can figure out how to do this with you. So if you are doing a bonus program and you want employers to be able to have more than the limit of bonus gifts, we can make that happen. So as you know, we like to support you and make happen whatever we need to get those gifts out there. So that is best practice number 1. Any questions so far? All right, so I will keep going. This one's going to be shorter because it's a little bit old at this point. So best practice number 2 was sent May 29th or so about school getting out and encouraging teacher and coach gifts. So these flyers, again, you would customize the parts in yellow. If you've done it once, it's going to be super easy to do it again. But as I said before, if you have no time, let us know. We'll do it for you. And we would recommend that you give these flyers. You can email them to the schools and universities in your area and plant the seed of giving gifts out to teachers. So we had many schools buy, 100 or more community card gifts to give to their teachers to thank them for the amazing and outstanding effort that they put forth during the pandemic, and having to teach online and in person, and sometimes both at the same time, was pretty overwhelming for a lot of educators. So we saw a lot of schools buying community cards, because it can recognize the teachers, make them feel special for the amazing efforts that they put in during the pandemic, but also give back to the communities. So the teachers can choose whether they want to have pizza, get their nails done, see a movie, all the different options that are on your cards. This also, of course, supports the shop local movement in your community. And again, we can make it super easy and handle all the logistics for the schools. So you can just send them to us and we'll help and we'll take care of it. So coming soon, we'll have back to school flyers for you. So watch for that in a best practice in the next few days, or the next few weeks. Okay, the next best practice, early June, we did one. So we hear a lot from you about merchants. Merchants are often very challenging. And many of you have done an amazing job getting lots of merchants on your card. Some of you are still in the early stages of rolling out the card and struggling to get their attention. So here are some things that we're finding working in other communities across the country. So first of all, know that you're not alone. Merchants are challenging for everybody, but you probably all knew that before you started this program. So the first point to make is that there's real money out there in your program. So if you have cards, if you've been selling cards for a while, you can easily run the gifts sold report from your portal. In the gifts sold report, you can add up the total value of cards sold and the total value of cards redeemed, and subtract redeemed from sold, and you'll know how much money is still outstanding. So there could be $5,000, $10,000, or $50,000 or more waiting to be redeemed out there on your cards. So that's a real incentive for merchants to get on board now and get their fair share of those cards that have already been sold and are waiting to be redeemed. If some of you are running bonus programs, that's another great thing to tell them about, because those bonus dollars are real money that are looking for shops to be spent in. So if you've got, whether it's $10,000 or $2,000 or $100,000 for a bonus pool, that's probably going to result in 3 or 4 times the amount of that money, of that bonus pool that will be spent in the stores as people buy cards to earn the bonus cards. So use those numbers. Numbers talk. Tell the merchants how much money is out there to be had. Second, new customers. So we did some surveys, and one of the really cool things about community card program is that 51% of cardholders try new places. So some merchants may say, well, they're not going to come into my place, whatever. That's not true. Over half of the cardholders say, oh, I've got money on a card. I've been meaning to try out that new froyo shop or that new restaurant or that new nail salon. So they need to participate in the program in order to get those new customers into their store. The other great stat that we have is people typically spend 30% more than the card value. So if they have a card for $20, it's more likely they're going to spend closer to $30 in the store. So that's a great way to get new customers and bring more revenue in. Third, what you can do is Yiftee is happy to provide a personalized webinar for you. So if merchants, we feel like you shouldn't have to know everything there is to know about this program. There's a lot to know, as you've all found out. So we're more than happy to do a personalized webinar for you. So if you can pick a date 2 or 3 weeks out, we'll set up a webinar. You invite the merchants, they'll come, and we'll show them how it works. Because we have the amazing Raquels who are fluent in both English and Spanish. We can do these webinars in Spanish if you want, as well as English. So just set that up with us and we'll answer all their questions. Believe me, we've heard it all. Second, I'll show you a couple of training materials on the next couple slides, but also we have the merchant training video. You can access this from your portal, and it just is a 2-minute or 3-minute video that walks them through how to redeem the cards. So make sure that they have that. Third, make sure, or what am I on? Fifth, make sure that your program is visible. So some of you may have taken advantage of a new program that we launched end of last year, which is a marketing kit. So we are happy to help you create in-store marketing materials with all of your branding on it, and we'll handle all of the printing and logistics for you and have those drop shipped to you. So we'll do all the layout and then send it to you for approval, send it off to the printer, and it will show up magically on your doorstep. We do have to charge you for the printing of that, which is $500 for a kit that has enough for 100 merchants. If you don't want to work with us, don't want to pay the $500, we'll give you the designs and you can print them yourself locally. So it's not about making money, it's just about getting the job done here. And then last but not least, summer is great for interns. It does work to go door to door. If you or some of your team or maybe an intern can go door to door over the summer, that would be awesome. What we would recommend is that you run, there's a location report in the Manage Locations tab. If you run that, it'll give you the status of all the merchants that have been invited and whether they're live or not, and it will give you the links to their activation cards on an Excel spreadsheet. So you can put that on your iPad or some kind of tablet and go door to door and just click and bring up the activation card and run it right there with them while you're in the store. That's a very effective way to get them onboarded. So couple reference materials. Here's an example of redeeming the Hawthorne community gift card. This is one of our new communities. It's customized for them, so it shows what the card, so this is a piece of marketing collateral, this one pager here. And you would customize it with your images here. Again, if you don't have time, we'll do it for you. And then print these out or send these via as a PDF to all the merchants and have them post them in their stores where their employees can see them. So this is the how to redeem document. It's got some Q&A down here. We can do them in English and Spanish. And then the other one that's really useful is the community card overview document. Here's an example of that in Spanish. It says, welcome to the Hawthorne community card. You're invited. Why should you join? Community cards have contributed millions of dollars to local shops and restaurants. How does it work? And then there's a whole, here's how you activate. And then on the, there's a second page. It's a whole full page of Q&A for them. So again, if you need help customize it, we'll do it for you, but you should have this and send this out to the merchants to explain what the program's all about. Any other questions on recruiting merchants? Everybody's shy. Okay, so I'll keep going. There will be time at the end for questions as well, or discussion. So the next best practice that we did was dads and grads. So this was the beginning of June. With this one, we didn't have a handout, although I think next time we'll probably make a flyer maybe that you could print out and put up. I know the grocery store in my community has a bulletin board. Sometimes post offices have bulletin boards, schools have bulletin boards, and you can put post a flyer there. In addition to that, you can promote. So basically now there's a holiday for everything. Not just Father's Day and graduation, but there are holidays for administrative assistant days and appreciate your employees days and thank a teacher days and all kinds of days that I think probably were organized by Hallmark. We call them Hallmark holidays. So people would buy more cards. It's a great excuse to buy more gift cards too. So these kinds of things of local marketing strategies apply to all those different holidays. So we have, as Raquel showed you in the marketing resources folder on yiftee.com, a whole bunch of social media content. So for pretty much all the Hallmark holidays. So you can promote them on social media using that content. So you don't have to reinvent those wheels. We also, I don't know what's going on here. You can email previous purchasers, but also Yiftee has started doing this for you. So in your gift sold report, you have all the names and email addresses of previous purchasers of your cards. So either if you have a system that you use, whether it's Constant Contact or MailChimp, you could send a message out to them. But also some of you may not have time for that. We're happy to do it for you. So just again, reach out to us and we will run that list and then send a message out to all the previous purchasers of your cards. We'll probably be doing this big time at the holidays and remind people to buy more cards for the holidays. But if you've got a special occasion coming up, say you have a street fair or something like that, and you want us to help you market that, we're happy to send a message out to all your previous purchasers. Say, you know, hey, you're going to the street fair, buy a community card and spend it at the local shops while you're there. So we can do that for you. We've talked a lot about schools and universities. We're seeing PTAs and PTOs buy lots of gifts as well as administrative staffs. And then last but not least, lead by example. So send your cards to the dads and grads in your life and watch how they enjoy using them. Next, okay, I think this is the last one we're going to talk about today. So we did a webinar on ARPA back in February, and there are actually some really useful videos. There's a 3 or 4 minute video summary of the ARPA webinar that we did in February. ARPA is the American Rescue Plan Act, and it's federal funding. It includes $1.9 trillion of federal funding that was approved by President Biden a year and a half ago as the pandemic was roaring. And the first tranche of that money was distributed to every single city in the United States. 19,000 cities got ARPA grants. Every city with 50,000 residents or more has a specific amount of money, typically millions of dollars, sometimes tens of millions of dollars, that has been allocated to your city to help the community through the pandemic. That money's been spent on setting up outdoor dining, improving parking in communities, improving broadband connections in communities, and all kinds of amazing benefits across the country. But one of the really cool programs that we have been fortunate to implement is taking some of those ARPA funds and using them to fund buy one, get one programs in our communities. So we can take a grant from ARPA funds that you would get from your city, probably the Office of Economic Development. That's who you would talk to about this. And anywhere from $10,000 to hundreds of $1,000s. The largest ARPA grant program that we've done was $500,000. So think big, you guys. And what we can do is put that ARPA fund in your community card program as a bonus pool. And you define the rules of a buy one, get one program. It does not have to be a match. It can be, say, buy a $100 card, get a free $40 card that's funded by the ARPA funds, or we've had communities do matches, buy a $100 card, get a free $100 card, so double your money. Those kind of things absolutely fly off the shelf. So, because people love free money for obvious reasons. So we can, but the cool thing about this is we can take a grant of these federal funds and we can multiply it by anywhere from 3 to 8 times the value of the grant, because you've got consumers buying the $100 card in order to get a $40 card. So there's 2.5 times already. Plus they tend to buy more cards. Plus they overspend by 30% on the cards. So what starts out as maybe a $50,000 or $100,000 grant ends up bringing anywhere from $300 to $500 or more $1,000 of benefit to the local shops and restaurants in the community. So it's a huge win for everybody, because it also develops great new patterns of people walking into the stores, trying out new places, and discovering the small businesses in your town. So there's another half of this grant coming out in July. So now is a really good time to talk to plant some seeds in your city Office of Economic Development. And we have developed this flyer for you that outlines how the programs work and the benefits that you can provide with your community cards. You would again customize it by putting your card image here, the name of your name and your organization's name here, a link to your community card here, your logo, so that everybody knows that you're bringing this huge value to the community. But basically this flyer that we sent out about a week ago, or maybe a week and a half ago, is targeted for your city government to help you make the pitch to them of why doing this program can bring a lot of value to the local shops and restaurants, as well as the residents in your community. We have a new partner called HDL Consulting. You might have seen a press release from us a month or so ago, and they are experts in American Rescue Plan funding, and have worked with us already in 7 different communities to roll out these programs. They know all the rules and regulations associated with federal funds, with using these federal funds for this program. My high level understanding is that if you're a city of fewer than 50,000 residents, there's almost no restriction on how you spend these funds. So you can definitely use them for this program. We'd be happy to provide more information, and if we don't know the answers, we're happy to bring in HDL. We have a webinar coming up in the second half of July probably about 3 weeks from now. So we'll be, that we'll be doing with them live. And so you can ask them more questions about getting access to those ARPA funds. So really excited and looking forward to that. The funds, just so you know, they're coming out in July. You have, I believe, 4 years to spend them, or to allocate them, and 2 more years to actually spend them. So this is not something that's going to go away in the next few months. It's going to be around for a while. So what is next? What's coming next is more best practices. So these are some best practice programs we have on deck that'll be coming out 1 per week over the next few weeks. So realtors and developers, we're seeing them buy thousands of dollars of gifts as move-in gifts to whether it's a realtor and clients, or sometimes as just thank you gifts for referrals and things like that. So there'll be a handout that you can give to all the realtors and developers in your communities. We have one on summer fairs, and actually little pre-announcement here. We have a new feature that's coming out as part of your platform. Oh, where did that come from? That's coming out as part of the platform called the Order Desk, that allows people to come and buy gifts from your, buy your community card gifts in your office, in the chamber office or the Main Street or Downtown Association office, and avoid some of the hiccups we've had in the past. So that'll simplify that whole process. So that's called Order Desk. Watch for that in the next few weeks. We have a best practice on summer hospitality programs for restaurants and hotels. We'll have a back to school best practice, as I mentioned, and then also more different kinds of BOGOs. So we talked about the ARPA BOGO, which is basically, I call it an all-in BOGO. So the bonus gifts would be accepted at all participating merchants. But we have 2 other kinds of BOGOs that we can do. One is called a featured business BOGO. So for instance, August is Black-owned Business Month. And you could do a buy one, get one program. Perhaps one of your local big companies has a budget for DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. And they would fund a bonus gift that could be spent only at the Black-owned businesses in your community, or women-owned businesses, or for Restaurant Week, or some subset of the merchants in your community that you want to recognize and feature for a bonus program. So we can do that with you. And then we also can do single brand BOGOs. So we had one community that had a grocery store interested in funding a bonus gift that could then only be spent at their grocery store. So for instance, buy a $100 card, get a $20 card that can be spent at the local grocery store, usually a small locally owned grocery store, not the big chains. In that case, the grocery store would be funding the bonus gifts. But the cool thing about that is the grocery store is going to get most of their money back on that, because either someone's going to spend the gift in their store, or it's going to expire and the funding will come back to them as a rebate, less Yiftee's restocking fees. So it's a very cost-effective promotion for the grocery store or any kind of business that wants to fund their own single brand BOGO. It's a great promotion for them to run, and it's going to encourage sales of your community card as well. So those are on deck. And last slide here is we're happy to take requests for more best practices. If you have ideas for best practices, maybe things you've done that you want to share, we would love to write them up and share them with the rest of the communities. And also, as I said before you spend your precious time creating new materials, ask us. We may already have something, or we'll make it for you and save you some time. So with that, I'm going to just open up to discussions and questions. And What do you guys, or feedback of any kind? What do you guys think? Let's see, I'm looking in the chat. If you guys are shy, you can put your questions in the chat. I see Elise had to run to another meeting. Are there any communities doing creative campaigns beyond pandemic relief or back to the office? Yes, absolutely. So I think pandemic relief is fading out, except for the ARPA programs. Those are going strong and will be for several years. But the big momentum we're seeing is just shop local movement. So we're seeing the messaging about the shop local movement kind of take over from pandemic. It's a much more positive message. And it's also, we started this company, we started doing this long before the pandemic. What community cards are not pandemic specific at all. It really helps bring new dollars into local shops and restaurants. Some of you may have heard, there's about $160 billion spent in the United States on gift cards every year. A third of that business is spent, that's 60 or so, 50, $60 billion that is spent by corporate buyers, who buy gift cards and give them to employees or customers. Those corporate buyers today, prior to community cards, were mostly buying Amazon cards, Starbucks cards, and the top brands in the United States. What your community card does is it gives them an opportunity to give that business potentially 50 to $60 billion and keep it local, because they wouldn't have bought a gift card for a nail salon for an employee. They don't know if you want to get your nails done. Or maybe even the pizza restaurant, they wouldn't buy because they don't know if you like pizza, but they will buy community cards because the employee or the customer, the client they're appreciating, can choose where to spend it. And it's a super positive message about supporting the local community, where, as opposed to having their money leave the community, going off to Amazon or Starbucks or one of the top brands. So that is kind of what we're all about, is keeping local dollars local, as our tagline says. And so I think going forward, the best messaging is to support the shop local movement. Thanks, Erica. I see your message. She's heading out, but let's see. Anybody have any other questions or comments?
I have a question, Donna. This is Julie. How are you?
Hey, Julie, good to hear from you.
The materials that like instructions for employees, once a company participates, all of that information is available on their back end, right?
Yes. So
Okay.
we set up the enterprise platform for them. They can see all the gifts that they've purchased. They can see the status of those gifts. They can resend them if somebody loses them. So yeah, they have all that.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else?
We have a couple more questions in the chat here, Donna.
Oh, cool.
First
Okay.
do you have any recommendations on how to get gift recipients to spend unused funds?
So the biggest thing, yes, I do. The biggest thing is we need to engage the merchants in promoting the program. So number one is getting that signage up in the merchant stores. So the window clings, the table tents, the bag stuffers, check register stuffers, making the program more visible in the community. We've seen orders of magnitude more gifts get redeemed because people are reminded when they're in the shops. And if they're reminded when they're in the shops, that gift is probably available to them on their phone, so they can bring it up and use it. So that's the number one thing, is getting the merchants more engaged. And again, if you'd like us to do a webinar for your merchants to support that, we're happy to do that. But the other thing is, we're sending reminders I always strongly recommend that gifts be sent by email whenever possible versus print. Print is fine. It's no worse than a plastic card in terms of people remembering to spend their cards. But email's better because we can send reminders. So whenever possible, email the gift, and Yiftee will automatically every month send a reminder for people to use it with a link to the card that has the current balance available on that card. So reminders are huge. They can also get reminders by text message, but they have to opt in for those legally. So we love email. We are making some enhancements to the printed gifts where there'll be a QR code on there that people can scan the QR code and then register their gift in their email message so they can get those reminders. That's coming out before the holidays. Anybody else?
Yeah, we've got another question here.
Okay.
Real chicken and egg situation. Merchants are interested when they see money in the system, but customers don't want to purchase a gift card when the options to redeem are limited.
So I would say, in terms of when you're focusing your marketing efforts, the best place to focus them is on bulk purchasers and potential sponsors of the program, because that's where the volume is. It's really hard, as you guys all know and are finding out, to build a consumer brand, and consumers need to be reminded constantly. So that's why the signage in the store is key. But if you can talk to, for instance, in Charlotte, when they were bringing up their program, they talked to Truist Bank. Truist Bank committed a certain amount of money to buy cards, a 5-figure amount of money. So it was a lot of money. So then they could go to the merchants and say, Truist is going to buy X thousand dollars worth of cards. Join the program to get your fair share. Here's a deadline. People need deadlines. Merchants in particular need deadlines. And so I would create a deadline, and on that deadline that you can do a launch or you can do a relaunch of your program, which reminds me of something else we have coming, and put out a press release so people know it's available, etc. So you need to create a deadline for them. There needs to be a forcing function. And if you can get a commitment from someone to buy volumes of gifts, it could be a bank, it could be a real estate firm, it could be a local developer. Money doesn't have to be in the bank, but if you can get the commitment, then you have that to use in recruiting the merchants. So commitments of funds and deadlines are my best recommendations for you, as well as signage in stores. That all said, so we think there's a great opportunity for many of our communities out there to sort of relaunch their programs this summer. The timing is great right now. And we sent a message out to everybody a couple days ago about a summer relaunch. What that is going to be, it starts July 11th. It's available to any of our communities, whether you've launched or not. And every Monday, you're going to get a checklist of things to do to relaunch your program from us, a set of resources that you can use to do that relaunch, meaning like flyers and one-pagers and email copy and social media copy and things like that. So a bunch of resources going to come to you in email, and then a set of what should be done by the end of this week, your results for the week. Then the next Monday, there'll be another list. And you can say, oh, I've already done those things, check them off. Or it's like, oh, I forgot about that. Okay, that's a good idea. So then we are going to have office hours every Thursday at 10 a.m. Pacific. So 1 o'clock East Coast. And Raquel kicked off our first office hours today. So on Thursday, if you have questions about the launch, or if you have questions about anything, you can come to office hours, and Raquel, or I will be on office hours to answer any questions that you have. So anyway, yeah. So watch for the relaunch message. If you want to sign up, there's a link to sign up. Raquel, where is that?
I can send that in the chat.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Other questions? All right, well, I can give you 4 minutes back in your day then. So I just want to say thank you all for taking the time to be here. And I hope I didn't talk too much, but it's great to see you here. And I hope to see you in office hours. And we're going to keep sending best practices every Monday or Tuesday. And then once a month, we'll do webinars like this to kind of talk through them. So watch for that. Come to office hours, shoot us emails if we can help you with anything. We got your back. So thank you so much for being here and keep in touch.